Welcome everyone to the Oracle Fusion HCM integration training. My name is Nehal Patil. In today's session, I'm going to talk about Fusion integration and what are all the inbound and outbound solution available within the Fusion and how to automate it. So after that, I'm going to talk about one of the most powerful inbound feature available in Fusion HCM, that is HCM Data Loader. So we'll go in depth of HCM Data Loader in today's session. So let's start with HCM integration solutions. As we already know, there are so many enterprise applications available in the market. To move from existing HR application to Fusion, we have two options. One is full integration to Fusion, that is complete move to Fusion. The second one is coexistence. So in the full integration, we may have to move completely all the modules to Fusion. So that involves one-time activity. So one time we need to get all the details available in the existing system to Fusion. So when it comes to coexistence, so coexistence enables you to integrate your existing HR applications with specific Oracle HCM features so that you can benefit from those features without migrating fully to Oracle HCM. So there are many customers who actually goes only for HR data hiring system. They want to make hiring to be done in Oracle Fusion, but they want to maintain payroll absence data in the current existing system. It might be EBS, third-party systems. So they would want to move completely into Oracle Fusion. So in that case, we may have to coordinate between both the systems, the existing system and the Oracle Fusion, for all the data. The core HR data is residing in one system and payroll system is residing in one system. So both the systems should be in sync. So for that, we go for a coexistence. So to make both the systems in sync, we do the data migration with the inbound and outbound. So actively we use both the systems, both the solutions. Yeah, I'll proceed with the inbound and outbound options available and also the criteria which depends on the solution making. So one thing is, the first thing, data flow directions. If it is the inbound, we have specific tools available for that, and if it is the outbound, we have a different tools available for that. So based on the data flow, we decide which one is suitable for us. And also target audience, whether audience purpose, how they are going to use that. So it depends on that. And also the technology. If it is a one-time data load, we can manually load the file. If it is ongoing interface, then we have to go for web service automations. And also the volume of the data. If it is how can we divide the volume?
So when we will go for ADF-DI?
Yeah, ADF-DI is again a loader. It's a PBL, that's a payroll batch loader. It's a web area sheet Excel. To load payroll data, we'll go for ADF-DI sheets. It's again a loader. And yeah, as I mentioned, so for the first three, HCL, spreadsheet loader, and the PBL, these are the inbound options available, and the next four are the outbound services available. So this is the framework for the data migration. So to do any migration, it involves a couple of steps. So for example, Fusion, we have three options of inbound. One is a spreadsheet, PBL, or HCL. Each of these options are having its own predefined format. So to convert the existing data to that format, it involves sufficient before we need to do a couple of steps. So these are the steps available in that. So one is data extraction. So data extraction from the third party or the existing system. If we are in EBS, we need to extract the data, and the second option, the next step, we need to cleansing or harmonizing the data. So we need to remove all the junk data from that, and we need to convert the data into the HDL acceptable or PBL acceptable format, and that's the predefined format. We need to convert that, and then data loading to the Fusion and testing the data. So these are the four steps involved in any data migration in Fusion. So These are the inbound options available within the Fusion. So when we extract the data from EBS, a third-party system, using we do have several options to extract the data from third party. We can use SQL scripts, Excel queries. So using that, we'll extract the data and do some cleansing, do some manipulation of the data to accept that data in the Fusion. So these are the three options available in the Fusion. So let's start with HCM data loader inbound option available within the Fusion. So this loader option can be used for bulk data loading and also maintain the data inside the Fusion. So we can use this option for one-time data loading and also for a coexistence. For coexistence, we can do a web service call and automate the process. So in the one-time data migration, we can do a manual load. So we do have both options available. So there are so many key features available supported in HCL, and it's user-friendly, UI-based, which provides real-time information of each step happens within the load. So it provides the information of import, it provides the information of errors. So, and also we can clear the error, we can fix the error within the UI and rerun the process. So it provides those kind of flexibilities. And also we do have multi-threading option supported in the HCL, so which actually increase the performance, which will not impact on our data size. If we have 1 lakh record, also we can increase the multi-threading option, threads option, which will process parallelly all the records and will not impact on the performance. And this also provides the features of multi-language support, so which supports UTF-8 option, where you can change the language and try loading. It accepts all those informations. So using this HCL inbound, we can merge, we can actually create, update and delete. We can do all the three options using the same HCL file. And this HCL also supports effective end date or effective dated records and also DFFs. We can load hierarchies or attachments, which includes blob and clop files. Also we can automate it. As I already mentioned, we can do a web service call to automate the process, and this is the web service name. So HCM data loader WSTL. We can call this service to automate the process. So also I mentioned about attachments. This HCL supports clop and blob files. So if you consider person image, we can use a person image, we can load person image using HCL, and also document of record attachment using HCL files. So when we are doing this integration, a common problem from moving the data from one system to another system is how to uniquely identify the records. When we are moving the data from one system to another system, we'll find different varieties of data. So if for example EBS is having different structure, and if you consider PeopleSoft is having different structure. So when we are trying to move all the data to Fusion accepts in a different format. Total format is different. So identifying the key factor, identifying the key for each business object is a main painful job for us. So, but this HCL supports 4 different keys to make the job easier. So one is surrogate ID, GUID, source keys, and user keys. These are the 4 keys supported in the HCL. So you can ask why this key structure required, why we need it. So for any in any system, to uniquely identify a job, to uniquely identify a business object, we need a key. We need a unique condition. For example, if you consider a job, job name is unique. If you consider location name should be unique. So that location name, to identify that unique factor. So HCL supports 4 different keys. While loading, we can use different keys. While loading or updating or deleting, we can use different keys to identify the particular record. I'll explain what each key does and when we can use each key. So there are different scenarios where a couple of keys will not support that scenario and only few keys support that scenario. I'll explain that and we'll move to the file preparation part. So also, I already mentioned this HTL is a bulk loading option which we can use for single time loading, that is a one-time data migration where we can manually upload the file. And the second option is a coexistence where we can automate the upload using the web service. So moving on to the next slide. So this HTL complete process involves a couple of steps. So first step is HTL supports .dat files. So user has to prepare a business object in such a way that it has to be in a particular format. The naming structure and delimiter option, we need to follow all the predefined structures. So the first step is to prepare the file and .dat business object name followed by a .dat. This business object name these are the predefined names. And also it's a case sensitive. We can't change the business object name. It's a predefined delimiters. We have to use the same name. And the next step is to zip this .dat file. So HTL accepts only zip files. So you need to keep all the .dat files and zip it together and load it to HTL. So these are the zip files, and each zip file can contain multiple .dat files. So you can zip multiple worker, job related data, all the files in one DAT, in the multiple DATs, and zip it together to single zip file. So it's having its own drawback again. So example, if you are loading the setup data, for example, job data, and if you are also loading worker data, which actually referring to that job. So, and you are keeping both the data, both the job and worker together in one single zip file, it may fail because Fusion, this HTL, is having its own priorities. So when you keep multiple files in a single zip, it looks into the first, it looks into the job first, and it looks to the other data next. So it may miss the upload, it may miss the creation of record first, it may miss the creation of job record first, or it may take the worker data, and in the worker data it's referring to the job which is not there in the system, so it may throw an error. So we always recommend to do this setup data load first, and then the reference data, the transitional data next. So we'll not merge both the things together. Okay, the next step is to the zip files we need to place in UCM server. UCM, or it's also called as the web content server. It's a Fusion own server. We need to place the zip file in that server and call HTL to accept the file. So the next step is to submit the file for the import and load. So we have two options here. One is import and one is load. Import accepts the data which actually whatever we are actually loading a zip file, compressed file here. Import process decrypts its file and loads the data to the staging table. So the next step is that HTML data loader, that's the import option. It decrypts the file and load the data to the staging tables. And from there on, it also involves, it may throw an error, while import also we may expect errors. So import, in this area, it just checks for the file and delimiter, some important keys are missing or not, and also the referencing data, if referencing data is there or not, whatever data we are passing is valid or not.
So Sneha, when you said import and load, are these two steps or it's only one program which will unload the staging table?
Yeah, we do have both the steps. One you can do separately, one you can do import first, see the errors, and then do a load. We have that option also, or we have a one single option, that is a submit that import and load option. If you submit for this process, it will do a import first and then it will only take further to load step.
So like when you said import, where it is going to import? Because right now, at the time of load only, it is going to load in the staging tables. But once you
No,
said import, where it is going to load?
no. Load, which actually loads to the application tables. Import,
Okay.
which actually takes to the staging tables. We don't have access to the staging table, so it just stores in somewhere middle staging table, and from there it do a data check. Whether you are passing all the values or not, if file is in a proper structure or not, it do the high level check of the file in the
Okay.
input level. And if any data is not in a valid condition, maybe you are not passing the main required key field in the file, in that time it will throw an import error. So those import errors user has to take care. And
So yeah, so in that case, when you said import like staging tables, means these are nothing but kind of interface tables, the
yes,
standard Oracle terminology. So once you load into the interface tables, then you have an application program through that where you can load.
exactly. We have a logical object interface which actually loads the data from staging tables to application tables.
Okay, got it.
And even in load also, we may get errors. The load errors are completely different than the import errors. As I already mentioned, import, it do a high level check. It just check the file format, whether key data is missing or not. It just do high level check. When it comes to load, here it actually checks the actual content of the file, whether whatever data you are passing is valid or not. It's already exists in the system. What are the keys you are passing? All the checks are going to happen while loading to application table. If data is already there and you change the keys or you are passing keys incorrectly, that time those errors are getting captured in the load errors.
Okay, that means the APIs will throw those errors.
Exactly. And yeah, to correct the errors, yes, user has to check both the errors, import and load errors, and correct the data, and again load it back. So I noted the same steps here. So the first step, the user has to transfer the zip file, which actually contains the DAT files. The second step, HCM data loader submits the zip file to the staging tables, and if there are any errors reported, then it will not. Yeah, this is one more point. If any record is getting error at the import level, it will not go to the load level. So import happens first. It will not even go to your stage tables. So that load of that record gets stopped over there. So for example, if we have 10 job records in a single file, consider your fourth record is having some issue at the input level. So only that record gets filled, but remaining 9 records will move on to the load level. So that remaining 9 records will get processed. The whole process will not get stopped. It will not get terminated. So only the error record will get segregated, and remaining rest of the records will go to the success. So this is how HDL works. And yeah, if any of the records are getting failed at the import level, it will not move on to the load level. And yeah, from the stage tables, the records will go to the application tables, and errors will get reported to the user. So I'll show the UI once where exactly this HCL option available and how it looks. I'm navigating to data exchange, where both inbound and outbound options are available in one single area. So I clicked on navigator. Under my client groups, we have an option of data exchange, which actually gives both options, your inbound and outbound options. Both the things resides in here. Inside the data exchange, we have multiple options. As I mentioned, HCM data loader, which is the inbound, and the spreadsheet loader, which is again inbound, coexistence for HCM, which is again inbound, HCM extract, which is the outbound option available, and payroll loader, which is again inbound options. So we have one single area where we can do multiple tasks, inbound and outbound both. So this is the one navigation. So HCM data loader, so we have 3 different options available for the HCM data loader. So view business objects, which actually gives you all the business objects available for the for this action, for this HDL. So I clicked on the view business objects, and you can see there are so many business objects available for in the HDL. So you can see there are so many objects available. So I'll go in detail of how to use this view business object, and using this. So this is the first step, using this file, how to generate the sample file, and how to make use of that sample file to do our migration. I'll show the steps. And the second option available is the import data and load. This is the navigation where we actually do a load. So for your previous question, you asked import and load, both these are the different actions, or it's a single process. Yes, it's both the things are import and load, both are two different actions which we can do together. Yeah, I came to this import and data load here. So I just did a blank search. So you can see there are so many objects loaded by so many, like you can see the created by also. These are the users loaded it, and this is how it looks. So there are two options: one is import, one is load, and also error message. So the first thing, import happens. The second one is load happens. So I'll just consider the top one as an example. So that's the location.zip. So you're seeing here it's a zip file. So as I mentioned, the user has always stored in a zip.zip. So the file name can be anything. Zip file name can be anything, but .dat file name has to be always, it's a predefined. That has to be a business object name. So we can't change the .dat file name, but we can change the .zip file name. So this is user able. So you can pass any name here for the zip file. And the second field we are saying is a content ID. So I mentioned, so user have to load .zip file to the UCM content server. That's a web content server. So for each file, content server creates its own unique ID. For each file, it creates a unique ID. So this is that content ID. And third column is imported, so which is telling its success. So how many, whatever file you are loading, all the records got imported, and loading, it's showing errored out. So we can see how many records errored. So it's telling 100% imported, but loaded 0%. So none of the records got loaded. So here you are seeing its total, it was having 2 records. Both the records got imported successfully. Matlab means data format is correct, but data is incorrect. Actual content is incorrect. That's why it got failed. Imported successfully, but it got failed because of the data. And we can see the error message also here, for what reason it got errored. So we can see that here. I'm just clicking on the message tab. You can see the vertex code is missing for the home or work address, and this is some related to the data. So some data is not getting passed, hence it is getting failed. So also here we can, if you get multiple errors, if you are loading bulk data, it will be confusing. So what exactly the error is, whether it's a load error, whether it's import error, so we'll get confused. So for that, so we do have an option, we can filter it out. So if you want to see only import errors, just filter it out for the import, and we can search. So yeah, this file is not having any import errors, so we did not get any record. And load errors, yes, we do have one. So this is the one. And also this is one more feature where you can export the errors. If there are 20-30 errors, you can export. There is an export option given. You can export the errors message in the Excel sheet. So business object, view business object, which provides the .dat file, which provides the actual that input file, how it should be, and also it explains what are the key factors available to do the loading. So as I mentioned, these are the objects available. I'll just pick one simple business object for now. So I'll go for job. So in the job, you can see there are so many objects supported, but I'll go to this work structures job data, and here there is a description also. So job represents one or more roles, that are performed by an individual within an organization. And the file name, you are seeing the file name. So this dot file name, as I mentioned, it's a predefined name. So we can't change the dot dat name. We can change the zip file name. So it's already given here. So we can't change this dot dat name. And file. So these are the predefined. I'll not tell it's a predefined. It will change from instance to instance, because job, all the files, all the business objects will be having EFF and DFF supported. So if you have any EFFs or DFFs created for that particular business object, that should reflect in the .dat file, because you have to load the data for that. So it differs. So, and also here you are seeing it's the last refresh is 9/29/2018. So this is having, so why this last date is coming here? So on this day, on 9/29, you have generated this file.
No, when you say this, because what I understand is what the file is, the file will have all the fields and everything, so related to that job object, right? When you said last refresh, it is the cloned bit of this instance, or only the? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So this refresh state means on this day I have generated this .dat file. So there is a file option here. So this file, I'll just download this. Yeah, I'll show this. I'll open and show it later. So this file got generated on this day. As of 9/29, what are the data? What are the setups you were having in the system? Based on that, this .dat file got created. So consider I created a new DFF today. But if I refer the same old file which I got generated on 9/29, I'll not be able to see the new DFF which I created today, right? Because the creation of descriptive file flex field is today. So I can't get that. So that's why whenever you do a setup change, so it's better to generate this .dat file again. I'll just open and show you how it looks. Yeah, so this is the job.dat I just downloaded. Just opened the job.dat file which I downloaded from the instance. So, so this, if you are seeing, there are so many flex fields. So if you are just seeing here, there are so many. I'll help you with reading this file easily. I'll show the steps how to convert this and how to easily. So, but if you see here, these are the DFFs. These files includes the DFFs and EFFs setups. So that's why when you're doing any new setup level changes, you have to regenerate this file. You have to regenerate the .dat file, so that your latest setups will get reflected in the .dat file. So that's the reason we do have an option.